Okay, so this is the first lecture in CBA. So we'll just be looking at the background and then what CBA is actually about. Okay. Now we know that in any human society we face the problem of scarcity of resources. We don't have much resources to cater for all our needs, and as a result, when we want to push resources into a particular uh, program or project, then we have to make sure that the resources are being put into their most effective use. Now, this scarcity of resources then is more prevalent in African countries. So the CBA that we'll be talking about, it is mostly done in African countries. If you have a lot of resources to provide infrastructure like bridges, roads, schools, and then all those things, then we shouldn't be much concerned about the cost and then the benefits that we are going to get from this project. Though they also undertake CBA, it is more common in countries like Ghana, since we don't have much resources. So whenever the country wants to undertake a public project, they have to undergo a project appraisal, of which CBA is the most widely used. CBA means cost benefit analysis, so how we compare benefits to cost, and then we check for the viability of whatever projects that we want to undertake. So the main reason why we undertake CBA is to check and see the feasibility of the project. Okay, should we actually undertake this program? Should we embark on enacting a policy? We have to go through a CBA analysis so that we know if the benefits are more than the cost, then we can proceed and then do that. Now, when we are talking about public projects, it's not like how firms, how firms try to maximize their profit. If you're a private firm, your aim is just to maximize your profit. So you just compare your private benefit to your private cost. If your private benefit is more than your cost, then it pays for you to produce. But then when you come to public projects, it's not just about your personal cost, it's about the entire society. Okay, so we have to consider all the externalities, anything that will affect any member of the society as a result of the project. Okay, so after a CBA, we can predict based on the net benefits that the analysis would give. We should be able to know whether, or at least we have to be guided whether the project is feasible or not. So it's basically about benefits and costs. Okay, these benefits and costs are measured in monetary terms and non-monetary terms. For the ones that can be measured, those are the ones that we can quantify. Okay, for example, you want to construct roads, the materials that you buy, all those things are the cost that you get there, because we can put values of them. But there are some cost and benefit that we cannot actually measure. The ones that we can measure, because the non-mutual cost and benefits. Something like assuming the state wants to embark on a project that will foster harmony. How do we actually measure harmony? We can't put a value on harmony, but then we have to add all these externalities to the cost and then the benefit, the monetary one. So that is what CBA tries to do. Now we want to look at the difference between CBA and the project appraisal. Now, for project appraisal, it's just a technique that is used by welfare economics to evaluate the efficiency of alternative projects. Okay, we have, assuming we have two projects that we want to choose from, we have to do project appraisal. Okay, before we know whether we have to go for project A or we go for project B. So cost benefit analysis is a form, it's a technique of project appraisal, but that is not the only technique that we can use to do project We have cost effectiveness analysis. We can also use that to know whether we have to embark on a project or not. So if you have to know the difference between CBA and the project, the CBA is a form of project appraisal. Okay, it's just a form of project appraisal. But out of all the techniques, CBA is the most widely used. People normally use CBA to check for the feasibility of projects. That's why we are doing CBA. Now, for cost benefit analysis, it normally focuses on economic efficiency. So we are just interested in calculating the cost and then the benefit. Then we find the net benefit of whatever project that we want to undertake. And because we are talking about the entire society, we don't have to be myopic. We have to think about the future. What are the future costs and the future benefits of the project that we are talking about? Okay, so it's not just about the benefit and then the cost that we incur now. No, most of the times projects take some time before they end, and the benefits too can go, I mean, for quite a number of years. So we think about all the future benefits and the future costs, not just the current benefit and then the cost that's. Okay, so CBA will try to make sure that the resources are being allocated efficiently. So after the CBA analysis, if we feel like no, the benefit that we'll be getting from this project is way lower than the cost, then we don't have to. But when we do that, we just be wasting the resources in that area. So we try not to do that. Now, we all know that the public sector has to exist because when we leave the entire economy in the hands of the private sector, we normally have something called the market failure. Something like public goods. The private sector will not provide public goods. An example is like street lights. You cannot actually prevent people from enjoying those public goods. And as a result, you can't put a price on them. So if we leave the production of those stuffs to the private sector, they will never do it. Rules and those things. You can't just, a private individual cannot just construct a strip of road and then be sitting there and charging for using the road. No, it doesn't actually work. And then for private production too, they don't think about externalities. When we talk about externalities, we are talking about spillover effects of economic activities. You are producing something. Let's use this example. We have two people entering into an economic transaction. Okay, if there's a spillover effect of this transaction on a third part, that's what we call externality. Assuming you are constructing roads, okay, and my house is near where you are constructing, you are polluting the air. Okay, I am not part of the economic transaction, but then I am suffering from the economic activity that you are doing. Okay, but for the private sector, they don't care about those things. Okay, they only care about their costs. But then when we are talking about public projects, it's for the entire society. So we have to incorporate externality. Okay, so if you want to embark on public projects, the analysis you have to go through is a bit rigorous as compared to just a private production. Okay, so that is why we have to undergo this. We have to go through all these steps to make sure that whatever benefits or whatever costs that the entire society gets as a result of the economic activity are all taken care of. Now, these are some of the sample definitions of CBA, what people think CBA is, but no matter the definition, it comes back to the fact that we are comparing benefits to costs. Okay. The first one is saying there is a policy evaluation method that seeks to quantify in monetary terms the value of all policy program and the project consequences that are to all members of the society. So if you look at this, they are talking about quantifying cost and then benefits, and then they are talking about public projects, and then they are talking about the entire society, the effects and the consequences of these projects on the entire society, not just for the private individual, it's for the entire society. So that is one definition of CBE. Another one to say is that the process of identifying, measuring, and comparing the social benefits and then the social cost of an investment project. So the government wants to do something. What are all the social benefits? They are using social because we are talking about the entire community. What are the social costs? Then we compare them, then we know whether the project is feasible. And then another one to say is a technique of analyzing proposed, ongoing, or previously implemented projects to determine whether continuing or pursuing them is in the public interest. This one too is from due to the perspective of the types of CBE. Okay, one is what analyzing a proposed one. They've not done it yet. They've just proposed the whatever project that you want to do. So this one is a type of CBE that is done before the project actually starts. And then we have one that is done during the lifespan of the project. They've started, but then they can still do a particular type of CBE. And then after the project has been done, we have another type of CBE. So this definition too is more types of CBE. And then the last one too is just talking about how we measure benefit and the cost that is associated with it. So basically, that is what CBE is about. Quantifying the social benefit and then the social cost of a project, and then knowing whether we have to allocate resources to. So these are some of the samples. All right, this is just the origin of CBE. Say it originated. This guy is called Jules Etienne Assinani Dubois. He was an Italian-born French engineer, but formally, economically, the concepts were formulated by Alfred Marshall. Okay. But then, practically, when they started using CBE was in the US, where the Army Corps were supposed to take projects to improve their waterways system. And what they were supposed to do was they have to project the cost and then the benefits of the waterways system. If the benefits were more than the cost, then they have to embark on the project. If not, then they will have to stop. So the CBE practically started with these engineers. They were using their own systematic methods to measure the cost and the benefits of the waterways system. And the thing is that they didn't actually get any assistant economists, but they were able to use their own methods to do the cost benefits. By now, we have consistent methods. I mean, steps that economical steps that you have to follow before you can know whether we have to undertake. So later on, we look at all the steps that you have to go through before you can actually know whether the benefits are more than the cost, are more than the benefit. If you have to go for the project. So this is just a brief our CBE. Right, and then these are the types of CBE. Okay, as I said earlier, the rationale of CBE is economic efficiency. We need to make sure that the resources that we are allocating are going into their most efficient use. If not, resources are scarce. So if we put resources in project A and we are not going to get much benefit, then we shouldn't waste the resources there. So we have to be thinking about an alternative project. Okay, so these are the types of CBA that we have. The first one is called ex-ante. Okay, ex-ante CBA. This is the standard one, the most widely used one. This one is done before the project starts. So when they propose the project, then we have to do an ex-ante CBA. So this one, the main objective of the ex-ante is to decide whether we have to start the project or not. Okay, we do it, we project the cost and then the benefits. So we haven't started yet. So if we realize that the benefits are more than the cost, then yes, we have to start. That is ex-ante. Okay. And then for ex-post, we do it after the end of the project. Okay, we do it after the project has already been done. So here, one implication is that whatever cost that we incurred on the project is now sunk. We've already incurred it. Okay, we cannot retrieve it again. So this one is mostly not about whether we have to do the project or not, because we've already done it. So it's basically for future analysis. Maybe before we started the project, we did ex-ante. Now we are done. We've done ex-post. Did we actually see what ex-ante predicted? So we are able to get some experience from the project. Then we can use it for future feasibility analysis. Okay, so ex-ante is done before the project, and then the ex-post is done after the project. Then we have a third one called in medias res. Okay, this one is done during the course of the project. So as the project is ongoing, then they will do this type of CBA. Because it's in the middle of the in medias res is Latin, it means in the middle of things. Okay, so we do it in the middle of the project, and because it is done during the course of the project, it has features of both ex-ante and then ex-post. For ex-ante, we can use the medias res to know whether we have to continue with the project or not. We have started though, but then we haven't finished yet. So we can still try to do CBA to know the cost that we are still incurring, the benefit that we are incurring, and the benefit that we feel like we are going to enjoy. Do we think that the benefit will be more than the cost? Then yes, let's continue. But if we feel like the cost is going to be more than the benefit, then we have to stop. Okay, so that property means that we use it to know whether we have to continue or discontinue an ongoing project. Okay, and then with features like the ex-post, that one is more observational. The thing is ongoing, so we are just observing how things are going. Okay, what are the costs that we have incurred so far? What are the benefits that we have incurred so far? So that one is more of ex-post. Okay, so that's the third type. And now the fourth type is like they use it to compare ex-ante with either the ex-post or the medias res. So maybe before the starting of the project, we did ex-ante, and then we predicted a certain stream of benefit and then cost. Now the project is over. We've done ex-post. We have to compare the two and see if actually the ex-ante CBA that we did, was it really worth it? Was it able to actually predict economic efficiency? If we are doing ex-post, then it means that ex-ante predicted that yes, the benefits will be more than the cost. That is why we embarked on the project. Now that we've done the ex-post, we want to know if yes, after the project, the benefits were actually more than the cost as predicted by the ex-ante. So we are able to compare to know whether using CBA is the best. Can we use CBA to predict whether we have to undertake a project or not? So for example, if after the project we do ex post and we actually see that the cost of the project was more than the benefit, then it means the prediction that the S&P CBA wasn't actually the best. It wasn't the best. So we use the fourth type of CBA to compare different types of CBA. All right. Now, why do we use CBA? Why do we conduct cost benefits? We do that because it thinks about the entire society. Okay? It's for societal welfare. It's not just about some few people. It's because it considers almost everyone. And then it also allows us to compare different alternative projects. Maybe we can have like 5 projects. We'll do cost benefit analysis on each. Then we'll be able to, based on the criteria, then we'll be able to know if we have to go for project A or we have to go for project C. And then they are able to know the kind of projects that we have to undertake so that the community will actually benefit the most, which policy will maximize societal welfare. Okay, so CBA will help us to know that out of different alternatives. Okay, and then it also allows us to compare cost and benefit over time. Okay, because of discounting, we are able to bring future streams of benefit and cost to the present, so that we'll be able to compare them. And then the CBA too, for example, if we are doing a policy for the entire nation, when we are thinking about the cost and the benefits, we have to do it for different groups in the society, different communities. So we are able to know where the costs are coming from, where the benefits are going to. So we can do comparison between the groups in the community and then between communities in the nation if the project is nationwide. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why we use cost benefits analysis. And then what are some of the problems with the cost benefits analysis? The major issue is which cost and which benefits are we going to measure? You are talking about a project. It will be having a lot of cost and then a lot of benefits. Which ones? Which ones should we measure? And even if we find the ones that we want to add, how do we value them? How do we quantify them? How do we put monetary value on them? That one too is another issue. And because most of the times the projects they go into the future, we have to discount them. We have to discount the impact, the cost, and the benefit. What interest rates are we going to use to discount it? That one too is another issue. That one too is another issue. So as compared to private sector decision making, there you only compare your private cost to your private benefit. Those ones we should be able to do. But for CBA, public CBA, we are talking about the whole society. So we are talking about social cost and social benefit. Getting everything is not easy to do. Okay, so these are some of the challenges that we face. Okay, so now if you are a private sector firm or decision maker, when we are thinking of embarking on a project, you are only talking about your benefits and then the cost that you get. Whatever externality that your economic activity will generate, you don't care. But then for public sector decision making, using a CBA, we are concerned about externalities. And therefore, externalities they are widespread. Okay, after a project takes something like this, free SHS, there is no way we can measure the full extent of the externality caused by the free SHS. There are lots, both positive ones and the negative ones. So we wouldn't be able to measure all these externalities. Now, basically in CBA, we have two externalities that we consider. We have the technical or the technological externality, pecuniary externality. The technological ones are added, but the pecuniary ones are they are not added to the cost and the benefit. When we talk about technical externalities, we are talking about how the economic activity of an economic agent causes changes in the production function of the consumption function of another person, I mean, the third party. What this means is that, let me give you an example. Just assuming you have a tie and dye firm, okay? After dyeing whatever you have to dye, you have to dry the open. Now, there is this construction firm that is also constructing roofs around your house. Now, because of the dust, you wouldn't be able to produce your tie and dye styles, because after the production, if you dry them outside, by the time you realize you can't even take them again. So that is a technological externality, a negative one. Then because of the construction of the road, there is a limit on the production process of the tie and dye firm. The tie and dye firm is unable to either produce more or even produce at all. So the construction of the road is causing an externality to that person. That one is a technical externality. So we have to add that cost to the cost and benefit that we are talking about. But for the pecuniary ones, an example is like, let's take Kofi Ibia for an example. We didn't have KFC here. So let's just say we had that up. But now we have KFC. Okay. Whatever good that produces, KFC can also produce. Now, we having KFC here doesn't mean that Lindadog can no longer produce the food that it's used to produce. They can still do that. So there's no technological externality there. They can still produce whatever they are producing, but then there's going to be a reduction in their profit. Okay, whatever gain that they used to get, now they wouldn't get that amount of profit any longer because of the existence of KFC now. So that one is a pecuniary externality. It is just reducing the gain that the third party was having. We don't add it because the public CBA is talking about the entire society. So if now Lindadog is not getting the benefit, KFC is not getting the benefit, and they are all part of the society. So if we have to add it again, we are doing double counting. Okay, let's assume that initially Lindadog was getting 20,000 per year. Now because of KFC, they are getting 15,000, and let's assume that KFC is not getting the 5,000. So we are adding the 5,000 that KFC is getting. We are adding the 15,000 that Lindadog is getting. So I mean, from the perspective of the society, there's no change in welfare at all, but it has just moved from one person to another. But the example that I gave for the technological one, the construction firm is adding a benefit to the society, but then the other firm is unable to produce at all. So whatever benefit that that firm used to get, that thing is not coming again. So there's a reduction in societal welfare. That's why we have to add those ones. So these are the two externalities that we normally deal with when we are talking. For the technical ones, we have to add them, but for the pecuniary ones, we have to take them out. So that was what I was saying. It just represents redistribution of income. So it will move from one party to the other party. So if we have to add them, then we are doing those are the two externalities. But then even in practice, it's a bit difficult for you to know whether the externality is actually causing the third party to reduce their production, or is it actually reducing it again? Knowing them is a bit difficult. As I said, externalities are widespread. Yes, Pamela.
Is it pecuniary externalities or something? I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
I didn't understand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I didn't understand it. Is it the pecuniary externalities?
Yes.
I didn't understand the explanation.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that for that one, it just talks about the reduction or the increase in the gain of a third party to an economic activity. Okay, that's what I was trying to use an example. There's a firm in town, and the person is enjoying whatever profit that he or she is enjoying, and then another firm too came to town. Now the person is also producing the same thing that the initial firm was producing, because now there's a new firm in town. The other firm, it doesn't affect that firm's production function. Whatever you are producing, you can still do so, but there's going to be a reduction in your profit. Okay, the gains that you used to have, there's going to be a reduction in your gain, because some of that gain will be going to the second firm that came to the scene. So that was why I was using the KFC and then the Linda Door example. Now, because we have KFC here, the KFC will be taking some of the gains that Linda Door used to, have. But here we are calling it pecuniary because one, it can easily be measured in monetary terms. We can measure the reduction in the profit of Linda Door, and we can measure the profit of KFC. So this profit that Linda Door is losing is not going to KFC, but it is still within the society. It is just redistribution of income from Linda Door to KFC. So if this was to be a CBA something, then to the entire society, there is no reduction in welfare, because what Linda Door used to get is now going to KFC. So we just don't care about that. We are concerned about the entire society. So if the activity of one firm is not preventing you to produce, you can produce, except that the gains that you used to get have been reduced, then fine. But then to the society, to you, you are making a loss. But then to the entire society, there's no loss, because it is going to the other party, and that party too is still part of the society. So